Hello lovelies, hello, welcome to a new video. Today's video will be a Deadpool and Wolverine spoiler review. So if you have not seen the movie, click away now because all the spoilers will be in this. I hadn't originally planned on making this video, but a few of you requested it, and then I put the poll up. A bunch of you wanted to see an ASMR review, so we'll be doing a soft spoken Deadpool and Wolverine review. So again, spoilers. So apparently this movie says fuck about 118 times, so perhaps we will have to swear or curse in honor of that lovely number. I have also only seen this movie one time, so I apologize if I forget anything. I've only seen it the one time. So we start off in this movie searching for Logan because he must still be alive after the Logan movie, right? But no, he's dead. He's dead. Which some people would say messes with the ending of Logan, but I mean, I honestly think they still kept it. He's dead. We do desecrate a body a little bit with a NSYNC dance routine, which I found to be absolutely hilarious. Bye 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 has been stuck in my head forever, and it's funny to watch the viewers that knew the NSYNC dance already, maybe grew up in the 90s, and the people that, the younger crowd that maybe thought that it was a new Deadpool dance. I've seen both reactions, so I thought the opening was hilarious and was not expecting a full Deadpool dance routine, but I'm here for it. I also think that it was potentially a callback to X2 when they're in Cyclops' car and they turn the radio on, Bye 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 comes on, so I feel like that's a callback to X2. I think my least favorite part of this movie was some of the opening parts. It felt a little slow and off to me. Some of just filling in the viewer, I guess, with the time that's passed, and like Vanessa and Wade are broken up, and I hate when they break up couples off screen, especially after like the first two movies. They're so cute. I love their chemistry, and then like we kind of open with this movie like they're not together anymore. She's dating a coworker, and it's like and she like still comes to his birthday party, like awkward. And while I enjoy Happy in the MCU, it was good to see him in this cameo, but again, I felt like this scene dragged on. It could have been like cut in half as like a brief little flashback to let us know that Wade was not accepted into the Avengers, but it just kind of like slowed the momentum and the excitement for me to start this movie off. I was like, alright, we get it, he's not going to be in the Avengers, let's move along. And then you have like kind of the introduction to the TVA, which you have to show for the plot of this movie and for like the Loki reference and kind of showing the MCU clips and talking about basically the setup. This was very much like a setup scene, like just straightforward telling the audience like, you know, this timeline is dying, so the plot of the movie is gonna be this. And it's okay, I get why they had to do that, but again, just a little slow for me. I definitely liked the second half of this movie. The beginning was just felt a little weird to me. I feel like things really started to pick up when Deadpool decides to start looking for Logan variants, and you get a lot of different I guess you could consider them cameos of alternate Wolverines, and you get a lot of comic book references, which I know a lot of fans really enjoyed. You get to see like a couple different outfits and different like references to different storylines and things like that. And that is something about this movie, is there is a lot of cameos and or Easter eggs to look for within this movie. there's like a lot throughout the course of the film. And that's like from people and characters to objects. Like in The Void, we see the 20th Century Fox like big logo in there. You have a helicarrier that would be like from Avengers. You have some like other random things. Apparently, there is the car and the trunk from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Ryan Reynolds confirmed this on TikTok. Apparently, he's a big John Candy fan, which who isn't? But yeah, so there's just a lot of like Easter eggs and little references throughout this movie that I think a lot of fans enjoyed, and I found myself enjoying finding those things. So let me just kind of do a little bit of a ranking of some of the cameos. So these are just my opinions of what I thought some of the cool cameos were in this film. So my favorite cameo in this movie was the Human Torch, Johnny Storm, and I completely called that it was Johnny when he came on screen. I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, so I was like, no, this is not Steve Rogers. This is Johnny. Has to be. So that one didn't fool me. I know it fooled quite a few people thinking that it was Captain America, but it was great to see him back, even though it was short-lived, because like Deadpool said, he was killing the budget. And I hope you stayed after for the end credit scene because you get to see him talk all the shit and essentially the reason that Cassandra killed him. The next best cameo I think was Blade, and this is coming from me. I'm not even really a Blade fan. That's just simply because I've never fully seen those movies, only clips here and there, so I wouldn't call myself a Blade superfan, but the entrance was like epic and so cool to see that he would come back into that role. It was just like a very epic moment in my opinion. I also thought it was really interesting, like his line about being the only Blade. So do we take that as like they're not going to make a Blade movie for the MCU, even though they've been trying? Or is it just like, to kind of throw it in Marvel's face that he's been like the only one? Just found it very interesting. My next favorite was Gambit, and it's so funny that he's been waiting for this role for so many years. Us as fans have known that he wanted the role of Gambit, and like they finally gave it to him, and he looked fantastic. He was like right out of X-Men 97, I swear. And the jokes about his accent, like, who's your dialect coach? The minions were just like so funny. But I do hear from like real Cajun people that they're like, he nailed the accent. So I can't say myself, but it was very entertaining and really funny as well. My next favorite like cameo would be like the variants of Wolverine. I just love that sequence. And you even get like Henry Cavill in there, which was like super surprising, and the dig at DC treating him bad, which is always funny. And then of course like little Wolverine, so it's more comic accurate for his height because Hugh Jackman is much taller than Logan is supposed to be, as we all know. Next, I loved X-23 being in this movie, although I gotta say I'm really mad that they put her in the trailer. I think it would have been much better. Like maybe I should have avoided the trailers, but it would have been a much better reveal if I didn't know that she was there. But they put her in the trailer, so I knew it was her. But it did give us some really good emotional scenes with her and Logan, and it was good to see her back, so I did like that cameo as well. Next up, I would say Elektra. It was great to see her back at it. I will say that this one was spoiled for me, asshats. It was like a news article that put it front and center right after the movie came out. I was so annoyed, but I still liked to see her back. She looks great. I thought the Daredevil joke was really funny, so I did also like to see Sabretooth back. Like I said, I'm a fan of the X-Men movies, so seeing like the original Sabretooth from the first X-Men movie was great, and to have him referenced as Logan's brother, because of course we've had that with other actors playing Sabretooth, but not with Tyler Mane. So that was nice to see, even if it was like short-lived. A lot of these cameos were like little short bits, but it was still nice to see him back and like reference back to the first X-Men movie. Same goes with Pyro. X2 is probably my favorite X-Men movie, so it was good to see him back with the same actor. And I did find it really hilarious when Logan punches him and like says not everybody gets a monologue, which is just hilarious. And then we go like Happy. Like I said, I thought the scene ran a little bit too long, but I do enjoy Happy's character, so it was a nice little tie to the Avengers, if you will. You briefly see Hulk in one of the Wolverine variants for Wolverine vs. Hulk reference. It's very brief, but he is there. Hunter B-15, which is like an okay cameo for me. I know that it like had to tie into the TVA and the Loki show, but it just like, she was just kind of there. It wasn't anything spectacular for me. And then you kind of have other like background characters that are references to some of the other X-Men characters, like you have Toad and Azazel and Juggernaut and things like that, which for the most part all of them were like different actors playing variants. Now, was it Ray Park playing Toad in this movie? Because I heard rumors that he was reprising his role as Toad, but in the movie it does not look like him. So I'm not sure if it was him or not in the actual movie to play Toad. I couldn't tell because it didn't look like him to me. Not really sure if this counts as a cameo because this is like our first introduction to them in film, but you have like the Deadpool corpse, so lots of different Deadpool variants that were really fun to see. You of course have Lady Deadpool, which was voiced by Blake Lively. I don't think that was actually her in the costume, but it was definitely Blake Lively's voice, Ryan Reynolds' wife. And then you have like Nice Pool, which was like this, I want to say like Dizio Fabio version of Deadpool. Like that's what Nice Pool was to me, just like a Fabio version of Wade. And his reference to the proposal was like really funny to me too. I love the Proposal movie. And then like R. Wade being like, "Is that what you think I do?" It was very funny. Headpool was voiced by Nathan Fillion, who, let me just say, this is not the first time that he has played a floating head, a severed head. He played a head in Santa Clarita Diet, so I feel like he is definitely typecast. Cowboy Pool was apparently voiced by Matthew McConaughey, and then you even have some of Ryan and Blake's kids in there with like Kid Pool and like the Baby Pool. I liked seeing all the different variants of Deadpool. I do wish, I was hoping for Lady Deadpool, Lady Pool, that they would have taken off the mask just for like a brief moment to see that it was Blake underneath it. I thought would have been really funny, but I get why they probably didn't. It was nice to have her voice as the character anyway. Oh, and of course, like Dog Pool, which was random and funny. And I think the funniest part of all the dog scenes was like Logan's facial expressions in the background. Like you could just completely ignore what Wade and the dog were doing and just look at Wolverine, and he's just like, the what the fuck expressions that he has all over his face are golden. Overall, I really enjoyed the different cameos and references that they had in this movie, and like the team that they created in the void serving a purpose. Like it wasn't just kind of like, I guess, fan service, if you will, because they actually served a point in this storyline. They were there to kind of like fight and distract everybody so that Logan and Wade could get to Cassandra and end up getting through the portal to leave the void. And so they kind of got like a better send off from what their Fox movies did. I just thought that it was like a good way to bring some of these characters back, and it was actually kind of a beautiful scene, like when the team is in the void and like looking up and watching them jump through the portal, like they successfully helped with the mission. So Cassandra Nova is like one of the villains in this. I'd say like she's the bigger villain as Charles Xavier's sister, and I think she kills this role. She did a really good job. She's like creepy, but I somehow found her likable. She looks really good with a shaved head too. So, but she definitely like was so powerful. I was wondering like how there was even going to be a possibility of like defeating her. It's funny, I saw the actress in The Crown years ago before this, and she played Princess Diana, and so there was like a couple moments in this movie where she really looked like Diana to me, and I was like, whoa, that's a Princess Diana look right there. Not so much an evil look, but I did really enjoy her performance in this, and I think the casting was spot on because I think she does really look similar to James McAvoy. If you put them side by side, they could definitely be siblings. Her like finger attack like into people's mind and skull was a trip. Like definitely a different take on a mind fuck because like the way that she used her abilities instead of just like Charles, but like literally putting her fingers through people's minds was it was an effect, that's for sure. I think it was supposed to make us uncomfy, and I think it succeeded. So Mr. Paradox, like the other villain, if you will, served his purpose as kind of like the annoying character that is gonna screw something up, and so it made sense to have the two villains, I think, like the bigger villain in the void and then him in the reality, if you will. He still was really annoying, but it's like he was supposed to be that way, so I understand why his character was like that. Um, he served his purpose for being that type of character, if you will. So let's talk the main guys. Hugh Jackman is a fantastic Wolverine, just like day one. He serves the comedy, the anger, the emotion, the muscle, if you will. He still knocks it out of the park 20 years later. The anger in this movie really comes up, like in that van scene where Logan is like screaming at Wade, talking, basically just calling him like a piece of shit, like he's horrible and he can't save anybody. And it's crazy the amount of anger that Logan has in this scene. And on the reverse, like you can see like Deadpool's sadness even through the mask. It's a really heart-wrenching scene because you have like two very different emotions, like pure sadness happening and like defeat, and like anger happening in this moment in a random car. Then you have Wolverine's comedy as well, which is a very different comedy style from Deadpool, but the way that they go against each other, it goes up against Wayne's comedy and one-liners really well. So the two different types of comedy mesh successfully. And then you get like the more sadness or emotional side to Logan in this movie. And that could be seen in like the fireside scene with Laura, like talking about what it means to be a Wolverine and things like that. Or his moment in his head with Cassandra where she's kind of poking and prodding. And some people I saw didn't really care for this scene where Logan is talking about what happened in his world instead of showing us, but I really liked this scene. It like was a calm moment from the action, the blood, the gore, the cussing. It was just like this quiet, calm moment inside his brain, like her talking to him and like plucking at his brain, if you will, and him expressing those emotions. I thought was kind of like a little bit of a palate cleanser for a moment for from the rest of the action and the gore of the rest of the movie. So I really did enjoy this scene, and Hugh Jackman does a really good job in it as well. Of course, with Wolverine, in this movie we finally get to see the yellow suit, which is from the comics so many people have wanted to see for years. It's joked about in the original X-Men movies, and we finally got to see it. Also, the mask, we finally got to see that as well, and I loved all of it. I love the mustard and ketchup vibes. I also do really appreciate that this Logan was a variant and they didn't go and like truly screw up the Logan movie, in my opinion. I know that they kind of poked fun at it with the skeleton in the beginning, but as a whole I feel like that movie is still like sacred and safe, and this is a different Logan with a different experience, so I feel like that was a good move. Now on to Deadpool. Ryan Reynolds, of course, does a fantastic job. I'm pretty sure he is Wade Wilson at this point, so I mean, that's just who he is, and he knocks it out of the park. I mean, he's so funny, and the one-liners just get me every time. You have like the sassy one-liners, the comedy, the breaking the fourth wall. I love all of these parts to the character, and Ryan Reynolds does a great job with it. The thinking that it was Steve Rogers, he's all pumped for Captain America, and then he's like, flame on, and like the surprise that he has kind of with the audience, not me, because for some reason I knew it was Johnny, but those moments are just really good to me. But a lot of people just like always put that he's just like a comedian, that's all he does. He does emotion really well too, especially in this movie. You get in the car that I mentioned when Logan's like yelling at him, you can just like feel the emotion like coming off of Wade in that, and the idea that he has to try and save all of his loved ones. There are some really heartfelt scenes in this movie, and Ryan Reynolds does good with those as well. So it's not just the comedy, it's like kind of like the full vibe that I do really enjoy his performance. Overall, I love Deadpool and Wolverine together. Their team up, they're like kind of like opposites attract vibe, whether that be through the comedy, the action, or like the more emotional bits. I thoroughly enjoyed throughout this movie. I think the van fight is one of the more talked about scenes from this movie, which is like so funny and random because they're just beating the shit out of each other, knives and claws at, and they both can heal, so it's truly a pointless fight. They're just getting their aggression out. And then when it kind of like fades back and Deadpool is tied up in all of the seatbelts, gave me a really good laugh. I will say in this scene, they teased me, well, kind of the soundtrack teased me. They released like the soundtrack for this movie, and I saw that Greatest Showman was on there. And of course, that's a Hugh Jackman movie. It's a musical. So I was like, oh my gosh, how is this going to be used in this movie? Is it going to be like a dance number? Like, is it going to be referenced? And it was such a tease because it played for like 2.5 seconds when they hit the radio during that van fight, and then it switched to Grease. So I was like, I appreciate the little Easter egg, but what a tease that was. So instead, they fought to You're the One That I Want, which oddly fit for a fight scene. That was kind of weird, right? The ending, I did enjoy Wade's like Spock moment against the glass, if you will, trying to save Logan. But I did like the team up of them, like, you know, it would kill one of them, but together they could like survive it and save the world. I will say that them holding hands and like surviving together definitely gave me Guardians of the Galaxy vibes, which is fine. I like that type of vibe and story. But that's immediately what I thought of when they did that. And of course, like it finally like shocked through the suit and we got Logan abs, which everybody is memeing. Everyone's making memes about Hugh Jackman's abs in this movie. And the choir version of Like a Prayer during this moment was like beautiful. Like, give me the chills, why don't you? Of course, the original song was like during the variant Deadpool's fight, which I loved also. But then, like, when they're saving the world together, and you got this like choir version of a Madonna song, thought it was a great choice. Very epic feeling, all the chills. So, so another thing I didn't like about this movie is a problem you have when you either do spin-offs or collabs. And in some ways, I feel like this really was kind of like a spin-off or a collaboration, like separate from a Deadpool movie. And when you do that, you lose core characters. And in this case, we really did lose the Deadpool characters that we have grown to love. We've seen these characters in the other two Deadpool movies, and they were either killed off, like they killed Cable and Domino off screen, which is a whole other thing, and then you just briefly saw the Deadpool characters that we all love so much, like Negasonic and Colossus, Vanessa, Al, Dopinder, like these characters that have been so funny and a big part of the other two Deadpool movies were put on the back burner. And I understand why they did that because there wasn't really a place for them. But that is something that you lose when you do a movie like this, where it doesn't directly feel like just a Deadpool movie. So you have like the references to the previous Deadpool movies, but you have so much to fit into one movie that you're not going to be able to add those characters as well. So it felt a little lost for me because I missed those characters, but at the same time, I understand that decision. So, other things in this movie that I enjoyed or just wanted to mention, Marvel Jesus, I thought was funny. A lot of people are in their feels for that. Okay. Shawarma is mentioned in this movie, and let me just tell you, I reference shawarma from Avengers like all the time, so it was hilarious to see like a shawarma reference in this Deadpool movie. Also, did we see the Scarlet Witch statue in the void? What does that mean? Where is my girl? Like, what are we doing with her? Because I don't want to believe that Rox ended it all. Peter was a better friend character replacement than Weasel, in my opinion, and I did not miss TJ Miller at all in this film. I know, like, he was talking smack about Ryan Reynolds and not in this movie and how he wouldn't have come back. And it's like, okay, bro, like, I didn't miss you at all. The end credits, if you stayed for, was really like sweet and heartfelt. It's kind of like a goodbye letter to Fox and the behind the scenes of those movies that, a lot of us really did enjoy those movies before like the MCU launched and it became like a way bigger thing. A lot of us did enjoy watching those movies as well. So it's nice to not forget those. And that's a big part of this movie too, is not forgetting some of those characters or giving them better send-offs, if you will. I also do think that they're going to make Hugh Jackman do this until he's 90, even if it's just small cameos, the poor soul. Yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts and feelings on Deadpool and Wolverine. Be sure to let me know what you thought in the comments section, and I will leave this off with one thing. Why was Thor crying?